This is a 13 weather impact alert.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks. Here in the 13 On Your Side Weather Center, we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued for portions of West Michigan, and we want to make sure that you're keeping yourself weather aware over the next several hours. This is likely the first of many warnings that are expected to come out throughout the evening, but we need to talk about Allegan County, Van Buren County, as well as Kalamazoo County. This goes into effect now, so this is an active alert for severe thunderstorm warnings up until 5:45 this evening. This is not just a normal severe thunderstorm warning. It actually has a little bit of an extra risk to it. This is why you see it marked here with that considerable tag, as well as a tornado possible tag. Considerable tag means that within this line of storms, there could be wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. So this is a strong line of storms that's tracking towards us here in West Michigan. You can see a lot of them not quite entered into the county just yet, but they are continuing to track to the north and east at a very rapid rate. Yeah, Blake?
Benton Harbor, 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts reported.
Okay, meteorologist Blake Hansen here as well. Benton Harbor just had a 75-mile-per-hour wind gust reported. To give you perspective on that, in a line of thunderstorms where we have a 75-mile-per-hour wind gust, that is very similar in nature to tornadic activity, regardless of if there is rotation embedded in the storm. So now what we're going to ask you to do is, if you are in Allegan County, Van Buren County, or Kalamazoo County, you're going to seek shelter from these storms. You're going to find your safe location. I know that we haven't had much severe weather yet this season, but now's the time to remember those practices. It's been nice out all day long, nice out in comparison to what's about to come. And now we need to head on inside. We need to shut the garage doors if you've had them open throughout the day today, and you need to be prepared for these strong damaging winds as this line continues to move. And you don't really have very much time at this point because these storms are actually moving at 70 miles per hour. I'm going to step off the screen so that you can get a look at the track. That takes it to those of you in Kalamazoo by 5:33 this evening, making it up to places in Kent County by the time we hit about 5:45. Okay, so lakeshore counties, you should expect to see this within the next 10 to 20 minutes at best, and then continuing to work off to the north and east from there. Once again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Allegan County, Van Buren County, as well as Kalamazoo County. Notice the broader picture of this line of storms. Right now, sitting over Lake Michigan, this entire band of storms is going to continue to move off to the east-northeast. Of course, our storms over Lake Michigan could potentially have lost a little bit of fuel, but we have all of the right ingredients present this morning and this afternoon in order for us to see these storms refuel themselves and recharge as they enter into our atmosphere. That's why we actually have almost all of West Michigan, at least 96 corridor into the south, underneath a severe thunderstorm watch. That means now for places like Kent County, Berry County, those of you towards the Battle Creek region, it's your time to prepare as this line of storms progresses towards you. Not only are we tracking strong damaging winds embedded in the storm and the potential for a spin-up tornado, but there also is frequent thunder and lightning embedded within the storms, which we know can be just as dangerous if you're outside. So being indoors is going to be extremely important with this. Let's take a look inside the storm itself. This is our hail potential. Right now you can see smaller cells or smaller signals of hail over Lake Michigan, but notice in the areas where that severe thunderstorm warning is, there's a little bit higher signatures. It looks like we have gotten a more recent severe thunderstorm warning. Meteorologist Blake Hansen's going to update us with that.
Yeah, so at 4:57, this is now a destructive severe thunderstorm warning with 80 mile per hour wind gusts.
So when we get upgraded to a destructive severe thunderstorm warning, I'm going to go back on the map here to the severe thunderstorm warning itself. When we see that upgrade in a tag, that means that we are now seeing even stronger winds embedded within the storm. This can act as damaging, if not more, than a tornado in many instances. So we really need you to heed this warning if you are located in places such as South Haven, stretching through Allegan County, Wayland, Dorr, Kalamazoo. All of these locations highlighted in this severe thunderstorm warning where this line of storms is headed to. You need to seek shelter from this storm. The National Weather Service is advising places that are going to be impacted, such as Saugatuck, Dorr. Those of you Wayland just mentioned, Moline, Fenville, Climax, Michigan, Comstock, Lawton, Kalamazoo, Richland, Bangor, as well as South Haven. These storms are moving at a rapid rate right now. Again, they're moving themselves, not the wind speeds. The storms themselves are moving to the north and east at about 70 miles per hour. Embedded within this line of thunderstorms are going to be wind gusts that are close to 80 miles per hour. The track of this storm is moving fairly quickly. I'll head over and redraw it for you here in just a second, but it's going to continue to progress. This is a part of a broader system. It's embedded with thunder and lightning. We also are seeing the potential for a little bit of hail embedded within the storm. What exactly does it mean to be underneath a severe thunderstorm warning? I know it's been a little bit since we've had to remind ourselves of this. That means that we have at least an inch in diameter of hail, wind gusts exceeding 58 miles per hour, or the potential for tornadic activity. We actually can't rule out the potential for tornadic activity at this point, and especially with our winds expected to be gusting near about 80 miles per hour, that means that we should be treating this the same exact way. At this time, if you are located Van Buren, Kalamazoo, or Allegan County, we are asking that you go ahead and make your way towards your shelter location. We've got meteorologist Colton Woods on standby. Colton, what are you looking at right now? What are you seeing in the latest radar data?
Yeah, Sam, I just want to give a quick update for those of you in the threat of the strong storm, especially around Allegan County and also Van Buren County, where that strong storm, the destructive storm of 80 mile per hour wind gusts, is currently heading your way. So if you do live in Allegan County, Kalamazoo County, and also Van Buren County, make sure you take shelter. These are the weather preparedness things that you can do to make sure you're weather aware. Make sure you stay weather aware. Make sure you look at the radar. Keep following us here at 13 on your side, because we'll keep you updated as the storm continues to move off to the northeast. Make sure your electronic devices are charged as well, because 80 mile per hour winds can easily topple over trees and obviously power lines, which could lead to many power outages, especially around Allegan County, Kalamazoo, and also Van Buren County. Those probably going to be the hardest hit places out of West Michigan right now. So make sure you check your shelter spaces. Make sure you also go into the interior part of your room. Even though this is not a tornado per se, 80 mile per hour winds are very strong. It can cause a lot of damage as well. So make sure you get into the interior-most spot of your home. That is very important, and secure any outdoor objects. The storm is still a little bit ways away from Allegan and also in Kalamazoo, so you have enough time to quickly go outside, secure any loose objects that are important to you, and make sure you do that over the next couple of minutes. And make sure you close your garage doors as well, because these winds are so strong they could definitely blow some stuff around in your garage if they're not secure. But we do have a severe thunderstorm watch for everybody in West Michigan that goes between now and 9 p.m. Not everyone in West Michigan, I should say. Everyone south of the Muskegon, Kent, and Montcalm county line. So if you live in Oceana County, in Newaygo County, Mecosta County, you're still expected to see thunderstorms per se, but the risk of severe weather is much lower off to the north than it is in Muskegon, Kent, Montcalm County to the south. So at least keep that in mind. But if you do live off to the north near US 10, you're still expected to see some thunderstorms this evening, but the chance of them being on the strong side like we're currently seeing in Allegan and Ottawa County or Van Buren County is a little bit less. But taking a look at radar right now, you can see the line of strong thunderstorms currently moving over Lake Michigan, approaching the Muskegon region as well, Holland and also South Haven currently seeing some strong thunderstorms. But the big story by far right now is this strong thunderstorm, destructive thunderstorm that we have on the radar moving into Van Buren County, Kalamazoo County, and also Allegan County. That is, like Sam said, for the possibility of seeing 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts, which is very destructive. That is basically an equivalent of a low-end tornado. And with wind gusts, you see straight-line winds. Those are more widespread than a tornado is. So even though it might not be as strong as a higher-end tornado, they produce more damage in a wider scale. So make sure you take a shelter if you do live in those regions. We also have South Haven tower cam as well.
Yeah, you know what, Colin? I don't think that this will show up on my computer, just based on the way some of our fun technology works, right? So we'll pull it up on yours here. Pull it into your show. So what we're seeing right now out of the South Haven camera is a lot of shaking, a lot of bobbling up and down currently as those line of winds do approach the area. What I will say right now about those of you in South Haven is that you need to be indoors. You are actually where the active line of thunderstorms is now crossing over Lake Michigan and onto land. So it's going to be in that spot. There you go. That's a look at the camera itself. Notice how much it's shaking, how much it's moving. That's the strong, powerful line of winds. I know many of you at home might hear severe thunderstorm warning and might not take it quite as seriously as a tornado warning. I want you to think of this the same exact way because of how strong those winds are. All right, Colin, go ahead and jump back on in there, and I will head back over to the wall here in just a second.
All right. Thankfully, though, I am seeing no one is outside, so that's some good news because you definitely do not want to be outside as these strong winds are coming in. There is a lot of people in their cars right now, and we also have another update to the severe thunderstorm warning. That now also includes Muskegon and Ottawa counties as these storms are moving onshore in Muskegon and also Ottawa. So if you are in Grand Haven right now, there is considerable winds with this.
Yeah, this is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning.
Are we actually on air right now? Or? Okay, we're going to take our coverage. Thank you so much for everybody who's been joining us on 13 Plus. Bear with us for a moment because we're going to get ready to do an actual cut-in live on television. We're going to continue streaming with you. It doesn't mean that this is going to end our streaming process, but we do have to make sure that all of our viewers who are actively watching us on TV right now are also getting this same information. So we're just going to take a moment here to reset, get the team ready. I want you to continue to watch this active line of thunderstorms. If you are in Ottawa or in Muskegon County, everything that we have been saying right now for those in Allegan, Kalamazoo, and Van Buren County, we now need you to heed those same exact warnings. All right, give us just a second here. Abby is in the booth. She is our director today. We're going to make sure that our hits are squared away and ready to go. And I will head over to the wall for us.
And the stream is continuing.
And the stream is continuing.
Thanks, Blake.
If you at any point in time, those of you watching us over our streaming channel, have the time or want to ask any questions about these storms, we are more than happy to answer them. Oh, we can hear the thunder rumbling here in the studio as well. We are more than happy to answer them. All you have to do is text us at 616-559-1310 your questions, and we will be sure to get back to you as quickly as we can. We've got teams of people right now within the building who are going to be checking those things and making sure that we keep you up to date with all of that information. All right, give me just a second here, and I will head over. Is this the most recent report?
Yes.
This is for Ottawa, Muskegon.
Yep.
We've got 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail, radar indicated. Okay. Oh wait, this is not the correct remote. We'll switch here, and thank you for everybody on streaming for going through this process with us. But this is what it looks like behind the scenes as we prep for some of our on-air cut-ins. Yes.
This is a 13 weather impact alert.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks. We're cutting into your regular scheduled programming as we are tracking a line of thunderstorms that is continuing to have signatures of strong to severe behavior. Right now, those of you in Ottawa and Muskegon County have been added to our most recent severe thunderstorm warning. With that being said, we are now asking that you, as well as those in Allegan, Kalamazoo, and Van Buren County, go ahead and seek shelter from these storms. Right now, it is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. Those of you Holland, Muskegon, Zeeland, North Muskegon, Ravenna, all need to be seeking shelter from these storms. And one thing that we do have to point out to you is that the National Weather Service has tagged this as a considerable threat. When that happens, that means that embedded within this line of thunderstorms that is tracking right now to the east-northeast very quickly at about 70 miles per hour, we are actually seeing 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts embedded within this line of storms. So as they make landfall, they could potentially do as much damage as a tornado. So we really need you to heed this warning. We need to take it seriously. You could even get to your shelter location. For those of you who don't remember what that is, that's going to be seeking shelter potentially in a basement, in the most interior room, away from windows. But we also suggest that you secure any outdoor objects. You have a little bit of time, a brief window before these storms do make landfall, and making sure that you're closing your garage doors. That can be incredibly important when we have this powerful line of winds moving through. In addition to that, we have a couple active thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing right now. This is for Allegan County, Van Buren County, and Kalamazoo County. This is actually upped in terms of the threat concern since we last cut in with you all. The threat concern now is all the way up to destructive, which means embedded in this line of storms, we actually have about 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts as it continues to move off to the east-northeast at about 70 miles per hour. So this line of thunderstorms could potentially, again, cause as much damage just from the strong winds as a tornado. And we ask that those of you in Allegan, Van Buren County, and Kalamazoo County seek shelter from these storms. Your severe thunderstorm warnings remain into effect until 5:45 this evening. You can see we just drew this track, if not 2 minutes ago, and it's already off by just a little bit because of how quickly these storms are moving. Meteorologist Blake Hansen's going to jump on that for you. He's going to redraw the track. Thank you, Blake. So for those of you in places like Holland, you have until about 5:15 to seek shelter from this storm. So fairly quickly, it's moving really, really rapidly. It's moving at 70 miles per hour. Those of you in Marshall, you have until about 5:55, so more time. Those of you in Dorr, around 5:31, you're going to see this storm reach your doorstep. Now, us here in Kent County, not currently underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, but that does not mean that you are left out of this concern today. We actually do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the entire state. So everybody at this point in time, or not for the entire state, for everybody, the I-96 corridor and to the south. So at this time, we ask that everybody take some time to find out their shelter location and to come up with a safety plan. Let's take another look here at some of our southernmore counties. Three Rivers, you have about 4 minutes to 3 minutes until this storm reaches your doorstep. Hastings, you have until 5:52. Those of you in Grand Rapids, 5:42. And again, embedded within this line of thunderstorms, we are seeing 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts potentially as it continues to track off to the north and east. Frequent thunder and lightning. We can't rule out the potential for a spin-up tornado embedded within it as well. So we're going to continue to monitor this very closely. And we ask that those of you at home are seeking shelter from the storm the same way that you would a tornado. Can we go back to those Muskegon storms for me, as well as the Ottawa County, and see where they're currently sitting at? So still located over Lake Michigan, we've got frequent thunder and lightning embedded within those storms. Wind gusts still at 70 miles per hour. So this is a very active system that's ongoing across the region. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 6 o'clock this evening. Again, still expected to have about 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We've got a lot of people from the team here today, though. Meteorologist Blake Hansen's here, and meteorologist Colton Woods is as well. So let's go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Colton Woods. Colton, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, Sam, Blake and I are looking at a little bit of possibly very weak rotation in Van Buren County near Decatur right now, but it is pretty weak. But with this severe thunderstorm warning in the southern portion of our viewing area in Van Buren County, they did tag it with a possible tornado. So it's not impossible to have an isolated tornado with these storms as they continue to move to the northeast. But like we said, we are monitoring this region near Lawrence, Paw Paw, Decatur, just north of Decatur, for the possibility of seeing some weak rotation, and possibly a weak tornado could drop over the next few minutes if that does indeed get a little bit stronger. But right now we're just monitoring it for the potential of some rotation. But overall, we do have this very strong line of thunderstorms moving through. You can see that green area, that is winds moving toward the radar, toward the Grand Rapids radar at the Grand Rapids International Airport. Those are the strong wind gusts that we are monitoring, with wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour for Muskegon and Ottawa counties, and a little bit stronger in Van Buren and Allegan and Kalamazoo counties, upwards of 80 miles per hour, which are destructive winds as well. Switching over to plane radar, you can see we do have that strong thunderstorm complex moving on to the shores of Lake Michigan right now, currently loading a little bit here. But you can see we do have Muskegon, Ottawa, Allegan, Van Buren, and Kalamazoo counties all in a severe thunderstorm warning. The one in Allegan and Kalamazoo and Van Buren County runs until 5:45 p.m. for the threat of 80-mile-per-hour winds, which is considered destructive. So you probably got an alert on your phone, because when wind gusts upwards of 80 miles per hour are possible, that considered a destructive tag by the National Weather Service. So you could see some pretty significant damage. Straight line wind gusts for sure are possible as well. And unlike a tornado, straight line winds are more widespread. So you see damage a more widespread zone than you typically see in a tornado. And we do have very strong winds, like I said, monitoring this system right now in Bangor region, South Haven, also extending into Allegan County here shortly, and also into Kalamazoo County. This is a very serious storm. Wind gusts upwards of 80 miles per hour are basically an equivalent of a low-end tornado. So make sure you take shelter if you're outside. Go inside quickly, go into the interior portion of your home, because this is a pretty serious threat if you do live in Kalamazoo County, Allegan, and Van Buren County right now. The worst of it currently impacting Bangor, Hartford, Lawrence as well. So if you do live in these regions, make sure you take shelter immediately, because these storms do have a punch with them. There's actually a 78 mile per hour wind gust reported near Benton Harbor as these storms moved onshore, and they're pretty much impacting a large portion of us in southwest Michigan as well. So make sure you take shelter, even extending down toward Three Rivers and also Cass County. If you have anyone that you know there, make sure they're also taking shelter as well. There is now also a tornado warning. I think that was just issued in, that would be St. Joseph County in the very southern portion of our viewing area. So kind of out of our viewing area, but definitely something we want to take a look at. That goes into effect now through 5:45 p.m. for Branch County, LaGrange County, and St. Joseph County, Michigan. So if you do live in these regions, such as Colon, Sturgis, you definitely want to take shelter. We do have a possible tornado on the ground. This is radar indicated, so it's not actually observed by anybody, but regardless, you definitely want to treat this as an active tornado on the ground. So if you do live in this tornado region, which includes cities such as Burr Oak, Colon, Sturgis, make sure you take shelter immediately. Switching over to velocity to see the rotation in this storm as it continues to move off to the northeast at a pretty fast clip at about 60 to 70 miles per hour. It's quickly loading real quick, but you can see we do have that thunderstorm possibly bringing some weak rotation. This is the area of that tornado warning, possibly some very weak rotation near White Pigeon, and also just to the west of Sturgis. This is a region that we're monitoring for the possibility of some weak rotation. In this zone right here, the green indicates winds moving toward the radar. So in this situation, it is winds moving to the north. In this storm, the red is winds moving away from the radar. So when you get those two couplets that we call meeting right next to each other, you get some weak rotation and the possibility of a tornado as well. So if you do live near Sturgis, White Pigeon, and also in Burr Oak, make sure you take shelter. This storm is very serious as it continues to move off to the northeast. We do have that tornado warning in effect in the southern portion of our area near Three Rivers. But regardless, other than that, we do have a severe destructive thunderstorm moving into Kalamazoo and Holland and Allegan County. The city of Allegan itself, that will likely be knocking on your door in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So if you do live in Allegan, the city itself, make sure you take shelter immediately. Also, if you live in Wayland, Dorr, Shelbyville, Otsego, Plainwell, this storm is knocking on your doorstep, so make sure you take shelter over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. The storm, treat it as a tornado because destructive winds upwards of 80 miles per hour can do just as much damage as a typical tornado on a weaker scale. So make sure you take shelter. This storm is very serious. Go into the most interior portion of your home.
Let's look at some of the cameras. Let's check out Holland's camera as well as Muskegon's camera. Colton is going to have a better view of that than I do because it doesn't quite work on our secondary computer. But if you want to take a look here at our lakeshore areas, we're going to be able to...
Taking a look at South Haven. Oops.
Switch that over for you. Just give me 1 second here. Here's a look at South Haven, that line of storms passing through.
Yeah, a lot of strong winds with us. You can see the waves are very active. Those waves, usually when you have whitecaps on Lake Michigan, that usually means the waves are at least 3 feet. So that just goes to show how strong these winds are as they're moving onshore into the South Haven area. And Muskegon also seeing pretty strong winds as well. If we switch the camera over to Muskegon real quick, the storm is knocking on Muskegon's door, and also in Grand Haven, also seeing some reports of pretty strong winds in the Grand Haven region and some dark clouds. Muskegon, you can see it's currently not raining, but the temperature is 68 degrees. The fuel that we need for these thunderstorms to get going, that's for sure. You can see off in the horizon, though, there's some fog on Muskegon Lake as the warm air is moving in, but some very dark clouds off in the distance. That is the leading edge of these storms as they continue to move onshore in Muskegon County with wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour for both Muskegon and Ottawa. But we're going to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks, who's at the wall monitoring these storms as they move to the northeast. Sam?
Yeah, thanks so much, Colton. So right now, what we're watching are 2 areas of storms. We have had active warnings going on right now for Allegan County, Van Buren County, and Kalamazoo County. Those of you in South Haven are actually behind now the brunt of this storm as it continues to move rapidly to the north and east. Embedded within this line of storms itself are 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So we actually are continuing our coverage both on air and on our 13 Plus app streaming. And the reason that we're continuing this coverage is because when we have this destructive tag for a tornado, it actually acts exactly the same as a tornado warning, a low-end tornado warning, but we really want all of you to know that you should be treating this the same way. That means seeking shelter from the storm itself, right? So those of you located in Wayland, those of you located in Dorr, Kalamazoo as well. Let's zoom in here and see if we can give you guys a couple more locations. Gobles, those of you, Bloomingdale, you're probably starting to feel the brunt of those winds approaching your area. Fenville, the storm is over you currently. You probably have another 10 minutes or so left before the storm has moved out of your area and you are behind the main band of storms itself. As we move a little bit further north, now this is into Ottawa County as well as into Muskegon County. You're not underneath quite as high of a threat as those of us, Allegan County, Van Buren County, as well as Kalamazoo County, but you're still underneath a considerable tag for your severe thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock this evening. What exactly does that mean for those of you at home? That means 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts headed your way. I'll zoom on out here so that we can get the bigger picture of this line of storms. You can see that it has a lot of thunder and lightning embedded within the storm itself. It's moving at a very rapid rate for everybody. We'll draw one big line here so that we can track the storm itself as it continues to work its way off to the north and east. And let's see what we get here timing-wise. Those of you in the city of Muskegon, you should expect it by around 5:29. The storm is going to make it to your area. Those of you Grand Rapids, 5:51. That's when we're expected to see this storm. Big Rapids even could potentially see these storms as late as around 6:30 this evening. So this line is going to continue to track off to the north and east. And just because you are not underneath the severe thunderstorm warning, like us here in Kent County, we do ask that you now take this time to think about what you would do if you were. What preparations would you take? Is your garage door shut? Do you have all of your objects outside secure? At this time, though, if you are actively along our lakeshore counties, Muskegon, Ottawa, Allegan, Van Buren, it's too late, unfortunately, for you guys to be headed outside and securing any objects. We ask that you stay indoors as this is a very active situation. We're going to go ahead here and look inside the storm itself and check out what's happening internally. This is going to be with our velocity scan. This is where we check for any rotation within the storm itself. Right now, we're just seeing a lot of indicators of very strong winds embedded within the storm. But with that severe thunderstorm warning having the destructive and tornado possible tag, we're going to continue to monitor closely for the potential for rotation within the storm. Another thing that the National Weather Service did put out, I would say about 10 minutes ago, was that they were going to issue the sirens for those of you in Allegan County. So hopefully you're hearing those. But remember, that is just one of many means that you should have in order to receive critical weather information. If we're cutting in and you did not receive a severe thunderstorm warning or alert, that's a not very good sign that you do not have necessarily exactly what you need. Looks like we do have an updated tornado warning, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that here. We now have an active tornado warning for Branch County as well as St. Joseph County. This tornado warning is in effect until 5:45 this evening. That includes areas such as Colon, I think it's Colon, Michigan. Thank you, Colon, Michigan, as well as Sturge. Colon, Michigan had a tornado this time around last year. At this time, we ask that everybody located in the counties of Branch and St. Joseph County go ahead and seek shelter from this storm. I'm going to pause the system itself so that we can have a little bit better look at it. Thank you, Blake.
This is a new severe thunderstorm warning for Kent, Berry, and Calhoun County.
Okay, in addition to our tornado warning that was issued for both Branch and St. Joseph County, we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning for those of us in Kent, Berry, and Calhoun County. Remember, this is a very quick moving line of storms. At this time, we ask that everybody in Kent, Berry, as well as Calhoun County go ahead, and now is the time to prepare and start to seek shelter from this storm. It is now time to take action. You need to make sure that you are closing your garage doors. You need to make sure you're securing any outdoor objects. You have a very limited amount of time until this severe thunderstorm warning makes it to your area. The severe thunderstorm warning has been issued until 6:30 this evening. In addition to the strong line of winds that continues to be embedded within this storm, the National Weather Service has tagged it as a considerable threat. That means up to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Those are going to be very dangerous straight-line winds. We also are having the threat indicated of a tornado possible. We have been closely watching our velocity maps on the side here. We've got meteorologist Blake Hansen and Colton Woods on the sides, making sure that they're watching that. And we're not necessarily seeing any signs at this time of clear rotation, but that does not mean that the band itself is not indicating very strong winds. We had one report just outside of Benton Harbor that was a 75-mile-per-hour wind gust. And you can see the strong bands of wind embedded within the storm itself. Sorry, did not mean to draw that. And let's go back and remind ourselves here of the warnings that we do have in place currently, because there are many locations many locations are currently underneath some severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's work our way from top to bottom. Those of you located in Muskegon and Ottawa County, you are currently underneath a severe thunderstorm warning. If you're just joining us and joining our coverage, you have a considerable tag with these storms. That means that the line of storms along the lakeshore's edge has 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts potentially associated with it. These storms are continuing to track off to the north and east at a very quick cadence. They're going to move inland at a very fast rate and bring those strong winds along with it. Those of you Muskegon, Grand Haven, stretching down through Holland should already actively be seeking shelter from this storm. We'll go ahead and throw a track on the northern portion of the system itself so that you can see when it is expected to arrive to your neighborhood. Again, right now we are just drawing the track for those of you in both Ottawa as well as in Muskegon County. Those of you in Fruitport, you should expect the storm. Let me move this to the side so you all can see it. Those of you in Fruitport, you should expect this storm. Oh, let's go back here. We'll try that one more time. Very shortly here. Sometimes I move just a little bit faster than the system does, right? We can hear the thunder and lightning actively outside of the station. Muskegon already receiving those strong damaging winds. Allendale, you have until 5:35 before this storm makes it to your area. Wyoming, 5:46. Grand Rapids, 5:49. Cascade, 5:57, Lowell 6:05, Big Rapids and Ionia just after 6:15. This is when those strong damaging winds are expected to make it to your area, along with heavy bursts of rain. This could potentially be an indicator of torrential rainfall kind of coming down. We're hearing the leading edge of it come down here in our studio. We do have one severe thunderstorm report that's now come out. Thank you, Blake. This is out of Van Buren County. Lawton is the location. It is a severe wind gust of 68 miles per hour. This comes from the National Weather Service. If you have severe reports like this, we do ask that you send them in. You can text them to us at 616-559-1310 at any time, and we'll make sure to get that information over to the National Weather Service as quickly as we can. Now, both Ottawa and Muskegon County are not the only two areas that are underneath severe thunderstorm warnings. We also have our southern counties underneath severe thunderstorm warnings, and this portion of the storm is actively moving at about 70 miles per hour. It includes those of you in Allegan County, Van Buren County. You're on the tail edge of it, but still underneath that severe thunderstorm warning, as well as Kalamazoo County. Let's throw a track on this system and see when it's going to arrive to your doorsteps. We've got Kalamazoo at 5:31, Otsego 5:32. You should expect this storm. Wayland making it to you by 5:41, Wyoming 5:46, Grand Rapids 5:49, Hastings 5:56. Come on in, Blake. We've got another report coming in.
Yeah, so this continues the warning for Ottawa and Muskegon County, and this is what I spotted out there.
Okay, perfect. So yes, we're continuing that warning for both Ottawa and Muskegon County that we were just looking at moments ago. Right now, we do still have 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail potentially associated within this line of storms. 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts were reported at the Holland station. If we have access on Max 1, I would love to go ahead and look at some of our Holland cameras when we have time to. I want to make sure that we're getting the live look. We could also scroll through some of our Grand Rapids cameras as well. This line of storms is moving very quickly, and you may be thinking to yourself, okay, so this is a live look over Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids, Kent County, also underneath a severe thunderstorm warning. The severe thunderstorm warning and continues on. Let me double check the time here because we have a lot of active warnings happening. Continues on until 6:30 this evening. Those of you, Cutlerville, Belmont, Yankee Springs, Alto, Sparta, Walker, Wyoming, Grandville, Marshall, Battle Creek, Duck Lake, Dutton, Comstock Park, Nashville, all asked at this point in time that you seek shelter from these storms. Storms associated with 70 to 80 mile per hour winds should expect damage to trees, homes, roofs, as well as outside buildings. At no point in time when a storm is of this strength should we be outdoors, right? This is a very, very dangerous situation, and just because it's not necessarily a tornado warning, 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts is very equivalent to tornadic strength. I'm going to pass things over to meteorologist Colton Woods here in just a second, as long as he's ready to go. Colton, are we seeing anything new across the region at this time?
Taking a live look in Muskegon, it's definitely raining pretty hard there, Sam. And with that comes also some stronger winds. As the rain-cooled air reaches the ground, and when it does, it spreads out and brings those strong, damaging winds that we have been seeing across West Michigan. Many reports in the 60s, 70, even close to 80-mile-per-hour range, which does a lot of damage, very destructive damage as well. Switching over to Holland, not as crazy there in Holland, but still seeing some pretty impressive rainfall rates. Temperature of 72 as well, which is the fuel for these thunderstorms as they're moving into West Michigan. But switching back over to the radar right now and taking a look at our severe thunderstorm warnings that we do have across West Michigan, you can see we do have that line of storms pressing into the region, especially from Muskegon down to Holland right now, extending into Allegan and Van Buren County and Kalamazoo. In the Kalamazoo region, also extending into Van Buren and Allegan County, they were the region that got hit the hardest with those 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts with that destructive severe thunderstorm. But moving over to Grand Rapids, and places like Hastings and also extending down to Battle Creek. So that includes Kent County, Berry County, and also Calhoun County. You are in a severe thunderstorm warning, which will continue until 6:30 this evening for the threat of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, which is considered considerable threat. So pretty strong wind gusts are possible with that. And also a brief tornado is possible. The National Weather Service also tagged this with a possible tornado as these storms continue to move to the northeast. So if you do live in Grand Rapids, the storm is basically knocking on the doorstep right now. We're just seeing some rain showers ahead of the leading edge of the storm, but the worst of the storm currently still impacting Holland, just moving out of the Holland region, actually impacting Zeeland as well, approaching Hudsonville, Jenison as well, as it continues to move off to the northeast, likely approaching downtown Grand Rapids here in the next 10 to 15 minutes with those stronger wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour as that continues to move off to the northeast. Switching gears in Muskegon, that severe thunderstorm warning for Muskegon and Ottawa County, that continues until 6 p.m. this evening for the threat of 70-mile-per-hour winds as well. You can see zooming in a little bit closer toward the Muskegon and Grand Haven region, the storm currently impacting Fruitport with those strong wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour. Cloverville, Wolf Lake approaching you in the next 5 minutes or so. Also in Ravenna, if you live in Ravenna, that storm will be approaching you in about 10 minutes or so as it quickly moves off to the northeast, moving at 60 to 70 miles per hour, the storm itself. So a very fast moving storm. This would be very hard to chase if you wanted to storm chase it. So keep that in mind. The best idea over the next couple of hours is just to take shelter as these pretty powerful storms move onshore. Nunica also seeing some strong storms as well. We also have another updated tornado warning that's basically out of our viewing area. So we're going to go back to the severe thunderstorm warning in Muskegon and Ottawa County. That tornado warning is well to the south of us, impacting Ohio and Indiana, thankfully. But regardless, we do have possible tornado spin-ups with these storms as they continue to move to the northeast. With any of these storms, they could easily rotate as we do have a lot of wind shear in the upper atmosphere, so at least keep that in mind. But downtown Muskegon right now getting the worst of the winds, at least some pretty strong winds moving into Muskegon downtown right now, and also into Muskegon Heights, Norton Shores, possibly some wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour in those regions that extends down toward Grand Haven, also West Olive, and heading down toward Allendale as well. So in the next 5 to 10 minutes, if you do live in places along I-96 in Ottawa County, those are the places that are definitely going to see the worst of the impacts. But right now you can see in Grand Haven, very windy, very rainy as well as these storms making their way onshore right now in Grand Haven. So some pretty impressive storms currently moving to the northeast across our entire viewing area. Everyone, especially from Muskegon, Kent County, and Montcalm County to the south, is in a severe thunderstorm watch until 9 p.m. this evening. So this severe threat continues over the next couple of hours until about 8 or 9 as these storms continue to move off to the northeast. Zooming in though on Kent County itself, we're just seeing some rain showers for the most part in downtown Grand Rapids and also extending toward Belmont, Rockford, and Sparta. That is ahead of the main line of storms. The wind is not really associated with these bands of rain extending past the main leading edge, you can see, but once we get closer to those storms near Marne and Allendale, that is where the wind is. So it's still a few minutes away from downtown Grand Rapids, but as these storms continue to press off to the east-northeast, the wind will eventually reach downtown Grand Rapids in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. And like I said, this warning is in effect until now, until 6:30 p.m. for Kent County, for the threat of seeing wind gusts upwards of 70 miles per hour. But right now we're just seeing some heavy rain reported in Grand Rapids. I'm going to switch over to the precipitation rate to just show you how strong these, or how heavy the rainfall is with this system. Some pretty impressive rainfall. So if you are heading out this evening, you might want to take note that there could be some ponding on the roadways for sure as these storms quickly press through the region. Very heavy rainfall rates right now in Allegan County, extending down toward Kalamazoo as well, even into Ottawa County with these storms pressing to the northeast. Grand Haven currently seeing some heavy rain that is approaching the Grand Rapids region as well. So if you're going to head out in the next couple of minutes, I recommend not doing so because the rain will be so heavy it will actually be pretty hard to see. The visibility will be very reduced, and with these strong winds, it's pretty dangerous to head out. Taking a look though at the hail potential, it's a lesser threat with the hail, but still it's non-zero. So we want to take a quick look at the hail potential. Right now, overall, it's fairly low. We haven't seen large hail with these storms being reported, but regardless, some hail is being reported in the pea size to maybe upwards of a quarter is possible with these storms, but you can see near the Allegan region, possibly some larger hail, and at least the quarter size, which is considered severe, even extending northward toward Grand Rapids, and also in Kentwood. In Cutlerville region, you're also seeing possibly some heavier hail with that system as it continues to move to the northeast. Muskegon, not so much in the way of hail, rather they're seeing some heavy rain right now and also some of those stronger wind gusts, upwards of 70 miles per hour. And also with thunderstorms comes lightning. Lightning regardless is dangerous in of itself. A lot of lightning strikes being reported across West Michigan. The positive strikes are the more dangerous ones. Those are usually the ones that hit from the cloud to the ground, and those are the ones that usually kill people the most with those destructive storms. And you can see we're still having a lot of reports of some positive strikes currently impacting mostly Allegan County down toward Van Buren County. They're seeing a lot of positive lightning strikes, so make sure you take shelter over the next couple of hours as these storms move through, and wait 30 minutes at least until these storms pass, until the last time you hear thunder, because within 30 minutes you're usually okay to head back outside. But a lot of lightning being reported from Kalamazoo down towards South Haven, also Holland approaching the Grand Rapids region. A lot of thunder outside of our studio right now here in Walker, extending toward the Muskegon region as well, and even into Oceana County. Oceana County is not in the severe thunderstorm watch, but regardless, you are expected to see some thunderstorms off to the north, closer to US 10 as well. Not so much in the way of severe weather, but definitely take shelter if you live off to the north as well, because you don't want to be caught outside with a thunderstorm currently ongoing. Switching back to the regular radar, you can see we still have that severe thunderstorm warning, which runs until 6:30 this evening for Grand Rapids region and basically Kent, Berry County, and also extending down toward Calhoun County for the threat of 80-mile-per-hour winds. Now it has been upgraded to a destructive tag from the National Weather Service, which means your phones probably just went off as these storms continue to move off to the northeast, bringing the possibility of some destructive winds and possibly an isolated tornado. It's not unlikely to have a tornado quickly spin up along the leading edge of these storms as they continue to move off quickly, moving about 70 miles per hour across West Michigan. So some very, very strong winds moving into the region, and also they're moving very fast. So you don't have a lot of time to take shelter. If you do get placed in a severe thunderstorm warning, make sure you take shelter immediately, because these storms are moving incredibly fast across the region, moving about 60 to even as fast as 70 miles per hour, and with them bringing strong winds themselves as they continue to press off to the northeast, bringing some isolated wind gusts upwards of 80 miles per hour in some regions across West Michigan, and a widespread 60 to 70 miles per hour seems pretty likely as these storms quickly press off to the northeast. We have been getting some reports of some damaging wind gusts closer to Benton Harbor region. They had wind gusts upwards of 78 miles per hour, which does damage equivalent of a low-end tornado, so make sure you take shelter as these storms continue to move through the Grand Rapids region. Right now, the worst of the weather is beginning to approach downtown Grand Rapids, so if you do live in central Kent counties such as Comstock Park, Ada, Cascade, Grand Rapids, Wyoming, you want to take shelter over the next couple of minutes, because the stronger winds are approaching the region right now, currently impacting Hudsonville the hardest, also the Jenison region, and extending toward Allendale right now, with the strongest winds being reported with these storms as they continue to move off to the northeast, bringing wind gusts upwards of 70, if not 80 miles per hour, which will easily topple over trees and power lines. So we are expecting a lot of power outages across the region as well. Taking a quick glance at power outages actually across the region before we toss things over back to Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks, we want to take a quick look at power outages. We do have a lot of power outages already being reported in southern portion of our viewing area, so near South Haven and also Kalamazoo, a lot of power outages being reported there. So these storms have been producing damage in the way of trees and also power lines, so just keep note over the next couple of hours that we do have some strong storms moving into the region. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you so much, Colton. For those of you who are continuing this coverage with us, we thank you. A dangerous situation like this is something that you need to treat the same way that you would a tornado warning, which is why many of your phones went off and many local sirens are going off outside as well. Embedded within this line of storms is up to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We really hope that you recognize that that can do just as much damage as a low-end tornado. This is all a part of a broader severe weather system that we have been tracking for multiple days now, underneath an enhanced risk that's a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather. This is our first enhanced risk of the season. We have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings right now that are active, including Muskegon County, Ottawa County, Kent County, Barry County, Calhoun, Kalamazoo, Van Buren. You are on the tail end of your current warning. It was likely going to wrap up very shortly here, as well as those of you in Allegan County. Those of you in western portions of Allegan County, as well as Van Buren County, you are still seeing heavy rainfall, but the main line of storms that has been producing the damaging winds leading to isolated power outages and some reports of damage has now moved past you and is now making its way towards Kent, Barry, and Calhoun County. Those of you who are in eastern portions of Muskegon, Ottawa, Allegan, and Kalamazoo County, you are underneath the brunt of the storm right now, and I ask that you continue to seek shelter from this system. As of right now, let's zoom in on Kent County and see where this current line of storm sits. It is currently tagged as a considerable threat for Kent County. What exactly does that mean? 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts potentially embedded within this storm itself. National Weather Service is also saying, yes, there's the possibility that we do see a spin-up tornado along a line of strong, powerful storms like this. We have not yet seen that radar indicated here in West Michigan, but we have seen that radar indicated just to the south of us, just to the south of Three Rivers. So we want to make sure that this is all a part of one active line of storms, right? That we're watching it fairly closely. For those of you in Kent County, I'm going to throw a track on this system. It is already moving through a vast majority of both Ottawa and Muskegon County. We've had different reports of the speed of the storm itself, but it's somewhere between about 65 to 70 miles per hour. So I'll go ahead and I'll throw a 65-mile-per-hour track on it. So we might be off by just a couple of minutes in terms of when the storm will arrive to your area, but that does give you a nice general idea. Moving this, or erasing it, let's try that again. Moving this to the side of your screen so that you can see it along with me. Storm again moving at about 65 miles per hour to the north and east. Those of you in Hudsonville, you should expect the storm to arrive by about 5:45. Grand Rapids 5:54. Thank you, Blake. Let's see, we've got some new reports in. We have minor roof damage as the storm went through, and this is in Kalamazoo from those strong severe thunderstorm winds. So that's an area that already experienced this line of storms that's continuing to track to the north and east, and there was damage to the roof there. We really appreciate any reports, but we ask that you do not go outside to look at them until the storm itself has passed. Okay, let's continue to track this system. Those of you Big Rapids, right around 6:15, making it to Stanton by about 6:24, and Everett by around 6:32. I do want to take a look inside the system itself. Switch over to our velocity map. We have a couple signatures here. Our system isn't doing a perfect job at being able to recognize where the strongest winds are, but where we're seeing some of these brighter colors right now pop up on our velocity map, this is a look inside the storm. You often see this shown by meteorologists when we're tracking a tornado on the ground, but it also can do a really good job at indicating where some of the strongest winds are. And that's right along this line here of the eastern edge of Muskegon County, as well as the eastern edge of Ottawa County, and continuing to make its way into Kent County. This is why everybody in the Kent County region right now needs to be seeking shelter from these storms. These brighter areas of green right now are the inbound winds headed towards you, and that is indicating that yes, you will likely see anywhere from 65+ mile-per-hour wind gusts embedded within the storm. Another thing that we look at as meteorologists is called the vertically integrated liquid inside of a storm. That gives us our hail potential. Now, we have not had very many reports of hail, but based on these signatures, somewhere between low to moderate sized hail certainly could be possible. That likely would be below a severe weather threshold, but still we do have a little bit of a brighter spot there in Barry County. Actually, that might be eastern Allegan County, just to the east of Wayland, just to the east of US 131, making its way towards Hastings, just to the south of Middleville. This is a little bit of a rural area, but still, that is a sign that there is potentially some hail embedded within these storms as well. So not only are you looking at that wind threat, but you also are looking at that potential threat for some small hail. I don't want that to mean to you, though, that you're running out to your car right now and trying to get it into the garage. We ask that you continue to seek shelter from the storm because there are so many factors at play that make this storm dangerous. You have your strong damaging wind gusts, you have the potential for hail, you have very frequent thunder and lightning. Even for those of you who are past the main line of storms, you are still seeing a very active map in terms of the thunder and lightning itself. This wants to continue to pop up here, so let's double check it. Yep, we do have a couple new severe thunderstorm warnings right now for those of you in Ionia County. Let's see if I can get the map to go where I want it to go. Montcalm County and Newaygo County. You now have been added to our severe thunderstorm warning. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 6:45 this evening, once again tagged with a considerable threat. If you're just now joining us because you've just been added to this storm, those of you in Ionia County as well as Montcalm County and Newaygo County, that includes places such as Belding, Greenville, and Ionia, are now asked to seek shelter from this storm. The storm is moving at a very fast pace of about 65 miles per hour. The winds embedded within the storm are going to be our greatest danger. Anytime we have strong winds like this, there are a couple of things and pieces of advice that we give people when they're not yet being impacted by the main line of storms. This does not include those of you in Kent County, Ottawa County, and Muskegon County right now. And the reason I say that is that it is too late at this point to be doing things like securing outdoor objects. Okay, we have now an active tornado warning. This is for Kent and Ionia County. We're going to zoom on in here and see what we are looking at. Those of you who are located in this hatched area, we need you to take this extremely seriously. It is at this time that we ask you to go ahead and make your way to your shelter location if you have not already. There has been a tornado warning issued for southern Kent County as well as northwestern Ionia County. This severe thunderstorm warning is capable of producing tornadic activity, and it is making its way towards the Ada, Cascade, Lowell, Belding, Saranac region. The storm itself is radar indicated, I believe. Radar indicated rotation. So let's go ahead and switch on over to our velocity here and take a look at what we're seeing. If you are located within this tornado warning, we now ask that you go ahead and seek shelter from this storm. Where exactly would that be? That's going to be your basement first and foremost. If you have a basement, that is where we want you to be. If you do not have a basement, we're asking that you switch on over to, just trying to get the tornado warnings to pop up here with me.
Real quick, Sam, the National Weather Service, they just had a near 80-mile-per-hour wind gust at the airport.
Okay, thank you, Blake. So we just had a near 80-mile-per-hour wind gust reported at the airport from the National Weather Service itself. We have that ongoing tornado warning. That includes portions of Kent as well as Ionia County, and we are asking that at this time you go ahead and seek shelter from this storm. Looks like we have lost the tornado warning itself. Here we go, switch right over to it. This is all a part of a greater system that has been very well known for producing extremely strong winds. Here we go, back to the tornado warning itself. It is currently tracking across the I-96 corridor. We now actively hear the sirens going on here at the station in Walker. The tornado warning is not actively in Walker right now, though, so you may be hearing tornado warnings outside of your area. The storm is moving relatively quickly. It is impacting areas such as Caledonia, Cascade, and Kentwood. Let's switch this over to our regular radar. This is really our first severe weather threat of the season. This is very close to the radar itself, which sometimes can make signatures a little bit tricky to see. Okay, we're taking, this is Walker behind me right now. Yeah, you can see that very ominous look right now. This is just outside of the tornado warning area. It's got that little bit of a green hue to it as these storms continue to move through. Let's go ahead and go back to our map here. And I want to make sure everybody within this tornado warning itself is very prepared and ready to seek shelter from the storm. I will throw a track on the system. Just want to double check the speed of the storm itself. It is moving at 55 miles per hour to the north and east. 55 miles per hour to the north and east. Let's try that one more time. It is impacting areas or making its way towards areas such as Cascade, Ada, Lowell, and Belding. If you are located anywhere within this tornado warning, and really outside of the warning itself too, we do ask that you go ahead and seek shelter from this storm. Those of you in Lowell should expect the rotation to potentially arrive to your area by 5:57. Belding, you have until about 6:08. Ionia, 6:12. Those of you in Sheridan by about 6:19. The storm itself is moving a little bit slower. The rotation itself is moving a little bit slower than that main band, but this is all a part of a much broader system. And again, this is still a radar indicated storm. There has not yet been a tornado spotted on the ground. Regardless, we are still asking that you seek shelter from the storm. There, outside of the tornado warning, are multiple areas of severe thunderstorm warnings with destructive tags or considerable tags. All of those tags mean really the same thing, and that is that they could act as a low-end tornado. Throwing a quick track on the main line of storms itself. It continues to move off to the north and east, the main line of storms, at about 65 miles per hour. Frequent thunder and lightning. It's going to continue to pass through places such as Hastings and then make its way over to the Lansing, Alma, Jackson region. I do want to go back to that tornado warning cell and look inside the storm. We're going to move on over. This is a look behind me at downtown Grand Rapids, very dark skies. You can see that flash of lightning behind me. The storm itself is located very, very close to the radar. Come on in, Blake. Blake's ready.
Yeah, obviously we're watching the radar sites right here, and that's getting us kind of some hard ability to see velocity here, but right in the Cascade area, that's where they're indicating some of those stronger wind gusts and possibly that couplet, but it's really hard on radar right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when a storm is really close to radar itself, the way that a radar beam works, right? The radar beam doesn't just go like this with the ground. It actually moves, think of an ice cream cone, you know, the waffle kind. And so what can happen is it actually can shoot over the area of rotation. Regardless of that, those of you, Cascade, Ada, Lowell, Cannonsburg, Belding, Saranac, you need to be in your shelter location, okay? Inside the storm itself, very strong damaging winds. That tornado warning is going to continue on. We have now added portions of Berry County to the tornado warning. So if you are located in Berry County, we ask that you now seek shelter from this storm. That includes those of you in Hastings. Zoom in a little bit. My screen is very, very small here, so let's see. Zoom in just a little bit more. See if we can get a couple more locations to pop up for us. Lake Odessa, Carlton Township, Ivering Township, Hastings, Middleville. This storm is actively moving through you with the very strong damaging winds. We are going to check for the potential for rotation within this storm. Let me switch it on over to our velocity map.
Sorry.
Thank you, Blake.
And there's where some of those locations.
Freeport, this is going to be to your area by about 6 o'clock this evening. Lake Odessa, 6:10 this evening. This is going to be the leading edge of the storm itself that we're watching closely for an area of rotation. Those of you in Hastings, M37, we do ask that you immediately go to your shelter location. What exactly does that mean? So we've got Kent County, Ionia County, and now portions of Berry County, all underneath a tornado warning. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what exactly that means for you very quickly, depending on your location. Got alerts going off on my phone as well. I hope that you did too. Let's see if these graphics want to work. We'll give them a go. Okay, doesn't look like those are going to cooperate with us, but that's okay. If you are located in any of the areas that are underneath a tornado warning, let's say that you are in a home without a basement, we ask that you go ahead and head to an interior room where there are no windows. That way any debris or flying objects cannot impact your area. I'm going to throw one more band on your screen here, and I'm going to track the overall storm, and then Blake or Colton, if you guys want to take over with any new information that you have. Oh, hello, Colton.
Destructive severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay, perfect.
Till 6:30.
Our destructive severe thunderstorm warning continues. This is for Kent and Berry County. This storm is moving at a very fast rate. So again, broader picture of things here. We've got Kent County, Berry County, Calhoun County, eastern portions of Allegan County and Ottawa County that are still all underneath our severe thunderstorm warnings. Those severe thunderstorm warnings remain in effect until 6:30 this evening. The storms themselves not only associated with areas of rotation now at this time, but also 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and that is why we are continuing our coverage here. The storms are moving at a very fast rate, anywhere between about 65 to 70 miles per hour, and they also are associated now with the potential for tornadic activity. In fact, we have a few active tornado warnings. Our first active tornado warning is making its way through Ada, Cascade, headed towards Lowell. This storm is moving at a fairly quick pace. Heavy rainfall associated with it. I'm going to go ahead and pause the motion of this storm. So at this time, those of you located in Kent as well as Ionia County, we're asking that you seek shelter from this storm. Second area of rotation possible for portions of Berry County. This is going to be from Hastings up towards the Lake Odessa region, all a part of a broader system. If you are located in Dorr, Wayland, Shelbyville, Allegan, Zeeland, Allendale, Grand Haven, Ferrysburg, you are now out of the main line of storms. You are still seeing some rainfall, but it is now making its way towards eastern portions of West Michigan with 2 active tornado warnings, both radar indicated storms from the National Weather Service. Let's send it on over to meteorologist Colton Woods. Meteorologist Colton Woods, do you feel you got any new information over there?
Yeah, we do have that tornado warning, Sam, for near the Hastings region for some weak rotation. This rotation, some QLCS tornadoes, possibly on that leading edge of the stronger winds moving close to the Hastings area. We have the red moving toward the outbound and then the green closer to the radar. So we do have a little bit of regions where there is some rotation close to the Hastings region. That's for that severe.
All right, our stream is still going. Well, I want to give you guys an update of what's happening here at 13 on your side. We're having a couple power surges associated with these storms as they continue to track through. There are multiple storms right now that are tornado warned and multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. We know associated with this system itself, we have about 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We can stick on max 1 here. If we're able to get it up and loaded. We've got 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts associated with this storm. We're going to zoom on in for you here. Are we back on air at this time? Is power? Okay, perfect. We're sorry for that brief disruption. Again, we had a couple power surges here at the station. Many of you at home may be experiencing that as well. Our backup generators, they take about 30 seconds to go back into effect, and they're back up and running, and so our programming should be back in action for you for a little bit here. Right now, what you're looking at are a couple of our severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently in effect. We also have multiple tornado warnings across West Michigan. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to those tornado warnings so that we can see them. We can hear the active sirens going on outside. If you are underneath the tornado warned areas, we do ask that you seek shelter from these storms. The system itself is currently sitting and placed over Lowell, Saranac, Ada, Cascade, Alto, Belding, making its way towards Ionia. It's pretty much crossed at this point, the 96 corridor.
And it looks like we're going to get a new tornado warning.
Okay, go ahead with that one, Blake.
I should, yeah, this is, yep.
It's a tornado warning,
Yep, this is a tornado warning now for the northeastern half of Kent County, Macomb County, and to the southeastern corner of Nuevo County. You can see this polygon right here. This is the new tornado warning. This is the polygon that we're watching at right now. So again, this includes the northeast side of Kent County into Macomb County, a large section of the southwestern half of Macomb County. This is radar indicated rotation, so this is not a confirmed tornado by the National Weather Service for the specific tornado warning, and that also includes the tornado warnings that are still ongoing for parts of Kent and Ionia County, and then even stretching into Berry County. These are all radar indicated tornadoes, so as of now, there isn't a confirmed tornado on the ground, but there's enough rotation in these severe thunderstorms that the National Weather Service is going ahead and issuing this tornado warning that now extends into the northeastern half of Kent County, a good chunk of Macomb County as well. These storms have been producing extensive straight line wind damage. There are many power outages popping up in the last 30 minutes through Consumers Energy. Not only to the south along I-94, but now in the greater Grand Rapids area, many power outages being reported by Consumers Energy within the last few minutes, including here at our station at WZZM. If you don't know where we're located, we're on 3 Mile and Alpine in the Walker area, and we just had a few power surges go through our station alone. So power is definitely being impacted for sure across much of West Michigan, but these severe thunderstorms have been producing extensive straight line wind damage and moving north and east at about 55 miles per hour. So these are moving at a pretty fair swath right now in terms of speed. Let's try to put this out here, just get a little bit of a timing here of this general line. And again, this is getting right overhead in the Greenville area. If you're in the Greenville area right now, it is time to take shelter. You only have a minute or so to get to shelter. Put as many walls between you and the outside of the building that you're in, whether it's a home or an apartment complex per se. This will be heading towards the Ionia area within the next 5 minutes. This will be heading towards Canadian Lakes at around 6:25, and then into the Vestaburg area near 6:30, so about 20 to 25 minutes from now. These storms, again, are moving at a fast rate, north and east at about 55 miles per hour, and these storms have had a history of producing significant wind, straight line wind damage. So even if there isn't a tornado on the ground, these thunderstorms are still very dangerous based on the history that they have had as they've rolled through West Michigan. These are producing straight line winds upwards of 60, even 70 plus miles per hour. There have been a few preliminary reports wind-wise that have been in excess of 70 miles per hour. So again, these storms, regardless of their ability to produce a tornado or not, are still providing very strong winds in the way of straight line wind damage. We have multiple tornado warnings ongoing across West Michigan right now. We have one tornado warning, again, toward the northeastern half of Kent County, really just to the north and east of Rockford, towards the Cedar Springs area eastward, that part of Kent County, into Macomb County, and then also just enough into the southeastern half of Nuevo County. We also have another tornado warning that is still ongoing for those east of downtown Grand Rapids. This was the initial tornado warning that still goes in effect for about 8 more minutes. This extends into western Ionia County, and then we have a third tornado warning that's in place for Berry County, including right in the heart of the Hastings area to the north and east, that extends also into Ionia County. This one goes until 6:30, and again, back to that new tornado warning that just popped up. This also goes until 6:30 in the evening. So again, we have 3 tornado warnings ongoing currently from the National Weather Service, along with, Sam, the multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing as well.
Yeah, and I do want to bring up a couple of severe weather reports that we are receiving from the National Weather Service. Right now, we have one report of a large tree blocking the right-hand lane of US 131 at 100th Street. This was reported by a spotter right around 5:55 in the evening. Anytime that you get severe reports like this, we do ask that you send them on into our newsroom. 616-559-1310 is a really great way to let us know of that information. But if you are currently underneath any form of active warning, whether that be a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, we have multiple of both. We ask that you continue to seek shelter and that it is not until the storm is over that you give us those reports. That's incredibly important. This storm has been known for damaging winds, the indication on radar of rotation, and you can see where those lines, that very bright color is popping up on the map, Blake. That's stretching from Greenville, making its way all the way up to Newaygo, just to the west of Ionia. That is where our strongest winds right now are.
For sure, Sam, this line right here is indicating the likelihood of straight line winds. But what can happen in this sort of setup is that we can get little notches in this line, and that could provide the ability for that spin-up tornado. And that's why there have been now multiple tornado warnings issued, because of that possibility of small, these would be weak, but still producing a spin-up tornado in these little notches up and down the line. If we zoom in on this line, again, this is indicating straight line winds for sure, just based on the orientation of velocity. So we're looking at wind right now. Red, what you're seeing on here, the red is going away from radar, which is back here. There's the radar site at the airport in Grand Rapids, and green is towards the radar site in Grand Rapids. So you can see these winds are strong, pushing eastward, but we're looking at any little notch that could be in this line that could provide a quick spin-up tornado. But by far, this look here on our velocity map, the sampling of winds on radar, definitely showcasing straight line winds. And that's what we've seen over the last hour or two, several reports of straight line winds.
Yeah, so one thing that I do want to mention, like if we can go back really fast to our tornado warnings, quickly let everybody know where they're at. And then we're actually going to send things over to Micah Cho. Micah has some updates on some damage reports that we've received. But before we do that, I really quickly want to touch on those areas that are underneath an active warning. We have Berry County, Ionia County, as well as Kent County. This includes Hastings, Middleville. It's actually moved just a little bit past those 2 locations, tracking towards Lake Odessa, as well as Clarksville. Saranac now making its way towards Belding as well as Ionia. Those of you right now in Ada and Cascade are kind of out of the heart of the storm itself, but we ask that you just continue to seek shelter until the warning is dropped for your area. And then one more patch of tornado warned storms is currently in our northern counties of both Newaygo, clipping portions of Montcalm County as well. This is radar indicated rotation. Anytime that we have a tornado warning, we ask that you seek shelter from the storm, remaining in your shelter location until the storm has passed. The storm is actively crossing over northbound US 131. Those of you Trufant, Stanton, stretching up through 6 Lakes, Lakeview, Amble, Howard City. We do ask that you seek shelter from the storm itself. And we now have a confirmed tornado. This is for portions of Montcalm County, Blake? Is that what it's coming through as?
Yes.
Go ahead and switch on over here to our velocity scan. So what that means is that no longer is this a radar indicated tornado. We are now switching it over to a confirmed tornado, meaning that it was spotted on the ground. If I had to take my best pick here, we've got an area of rotation right here of both inbound and outbound winds, just passing the US 131 corridor. Blake just read the National Weather Service chat there. Was there anything written in?
No, nothing yet there.
Okay.
But definitely this is what we're seeing right here on our rotation. That is our couplet right there. You can see those greens and reds very
clearly.
Tight together. This is different than that line of red and green that we are indicating. You can see that this is a definite couplet that is moving into parts of the Pearson area just to the south of Howard City. So this is right on the just north of the Kent County line into Montcalm County. I do want to take a look and see if we're seeing any report. This is a product on radar, folks, of possible debris. I do want to go back to this one right here.
Looks like that could potentially be a past area of debris. What happens is these scans take a couple of minutes to update. Nope, it just looks like we have a couple areas of rotation right now.
Yeah, so this is separate from the one we just talked about. This is to the east of Newaygo that just swept through. I'm going to go on a loop here just to indicate what we're looking at here. Yeah, you can see over the last few frames here, just to the east of Newaygo, that is what we're looking at. And when we put on our debris tracker here, notice this right here. This is what we call a tornado debris signature, where we are trying to look in our atmosphere for things that are not weather related, such as rain or hail. This would be more in terms of possibly tree damage. This could be possibly into shingles, for example. And you can see over the last 30 minutes, look at how that popped up on our debris signature there, just to the south and east of Newaygo. So let's go back to our radar here.
Absolutely. We do want to give you guys one update here while Blake gets that set. And the reason that we are a little bit glitchy right now is we had several power surges about 20 minutes ago. And while, yes, we jumped right back into coverage within about 30 seconds of that power going out, we are still seeing some of the side effects of that. And so thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for continuing coverage with us. We are going to track these storms and keep you safe regardless of the glitches. That's not really what's important to us right now, is having the cleanest product. What's important to us is that you're getting this information, that those of you located in these areas of a confirmed tornado on the ground are seeking shelter from the storm itself. We've got, let me zoom in here. I want those of you, Howard City, Lakeview, Morley, Canadian Lakes, to be in your shelter location. I also want Lake Odessa, Ionia. Those are two other spots that I would really like to see, making sure that they are in their shelter location. I'm looking at some velocity data here, and that is certainly an area of concern right now.
Yeah, just to the east of the Croton area, that is where we're seeing some broad circulation, and we're also seeing that again in a separate part of this line of thunderstorm activity, just now to the south of Howard City, seeing some rotation there. And obviously, as we go a little bit farther to the south into Montcalm County, into Ionia County, to the east of Greenville and Ionia proper, that's where we're seeing more in the way of this signature of straight line winds based on velocity. But yeah, as we go back to that storm, specifically back here into parts of Newaygo, Montcalm, and even into Newaygo County, that is where we're keeping an eye on some brief spin-up tornadoes. And it does, and as a result, the National Weather Service did upgrade their tornado warning to a confirmed tornado with this thunderstorm activity, again, in parts of eastern Newaygo County. I do want to go back to one last look there, and you can still see some debris signature there to the east of the Croton area. Micah, you got some updates here? We're going to send it over to Micah Cho. He's got some updates going on across parts of West Michigan. What do you got, Micah?
Yeah, this will only take a few minutes. We have a whole newsroom right now that is monitoring scanner traffic for any storm damage reports that we have. Right now, we only have a couple in Kent County, and these are just progressing by the minute, however. It looks like we do have a car or a tree onto a car at around 500 Pineland Drive. Again, that's 500 Pineland Drive in Ada. We did have a couple of power lines down in that area as well. Again, this is what we are hearing from scanner traffic. We also have possible wires down 5095 Ridgebrook Avenue in Kentwood. Again, that's off of Ridgebrook Avenue in Kentwood. And we also have a lot of eyes and ears out on these storms as well. Now, here were some of the conditions in Byron Center just a little bit earlier. If we can get that video up on the screen right now. A photographer here at WZZM 13, Ken Ritz, he's sent us this video from Byron Center. There we go now. It looks like we have some winds and some heavy rain coming down as well. Again, this is in the Byron Center, Waylandish area. Let's see here. I think we have more. Let's see. We do have a lot of reports of power lines down in the Kalamazoo area as well. We want to thank Ken Ritz for this video. I do want to real quick mention there's a lot of power outages. Looks like we're right now. A lot of the power outages, according to the Consumers Energy power outage map that we cannot bring onto the screen right now, there's a cluster of them north of Grand Rapids. So we have Sparta, Ravenna, Cedar Springs, Rockford. We have quite a few outages over there as well. Kind of looking south, I'm looking at the outage map right now. Looking south, I think that's east of the Thornapple River in Caledonia, Middleville area. There's some pretty good clusters over there. Northeast or northwest of Caledonia as well, kind of by Cutlerville area. We have some, let's see, in Cutlerville we have 1,624 customers without power. Byron Center area, we have 452 customers without power over there as well. Again, we have a whole newsroom that is monitoring these storms, monitoring storm reports, damage reports, just to bring you guys up-to-date information. And if the meteorology team is ready, we can send it back to you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Micah. We appreciate those updates. What we all want you at home to know is that, yes, we do recognize that our coverage right now is a little bit glitchy. One more time, this is because of the weather, a result of probably something you're experiencing at home right now too. We had a couple power surges. We have our engineering team on their way to see what they can fix. But at this time, it's more important to us that we continue this coverage. We have one active area of a tornado warning. It does look like the rest of our tornado warnings have been canceled. Now, we do still continue on with some severe thunderstorm warnings and strong damaging winds. So just because you are no longer underneath the tornado warning, those of you in Ionia, Mount Calm County, stretching up through Newaygo County, northern portions of Newaygo County as well, are still experiencing that strong, powerful, damaging line of wind gusts. Our current tornado warning is in effect right now until 6:30 this evening for portions right now mainly of Mount Calm County. I would say
the warning for Kent, Berry, and Ionia County has been canceled.
Yes, that southern warning.
That is good news there, but there is still an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning due to the straight line wind potential of these thunderstorms now really pushing into Ionia County and even a little bit eastward of that into parts of mid-Michigan.
And it looks like they now just dropped the northern portions of Kent County out of that tornado warning as well. So the brunt of that storm is behind you, and now we're going to focus on Mount Calm County. That includes Greenville as well as Sidney. Those of you in Lakeview as well as Edmore are going to be some of the spots that we are now asking you to please make sure that you are seeking shelter. We're taking a look at this current line of storms. It looks like we have M91 is the current crossroad that the storm is working through, making its way towards M45 and M66, so towards the Six Lakes, Edmore area, Stanton, and Sydney. This line of storms itself, we're going to throw a track on it for you. Not only has it been known for creating and causing rotation in the atmosphere, but now we are seeing strong damaging winds and even the potential for some hail. Those of you located in Stanton, you should expect the storm to arrive to your doorsteps by 6:27. Alma making it all the way there by the time we hit about 6:45. That goes to show the nature and the speed of these storms. Switch on over here to our velocity. Velocity is a look inside the storm itself where we check for rotation. This was a confirmed tornado, which means that it was spotted on the ground by a viewer before it was just radar indicated. So we do ask that everybody within this tornado warning continue to seek shelter. Looking at some areas of broad rotation right now. Then the line of storms, we look at inbound winds and outbound winds. And I want to go ahead and switch over to our debris within the storm. The reason we look at debris, this is a clear signature of anything can be indicated that isn't necessarily precipitation related. Okay, so when we start to see brighter signatures showing up in our debris potential, that means things such as roofs, tree branches, objects could have been lofted into the atmosphere and picked up. Not seeing any clear debris signature as of right now, but we did see that over in the Croton area about 5 to 10 minutes ago. So since then, we're not seeing that indicated at this time, but we have previously seen that indicated. And I want to take a look at the broader picture of these storms themselves. See if my graphics want to load with me here. This line of storms has been ongoing for multiple hours now. It has been associated with strong damaging winds, frequent thunder and lightning, small-sized hail, and now the potential for tornadic activity. The band of storms is going to work out of West Michigan shortly here. Let's draw a track along the main line of storms. You can see it's making its way towards the Metro Detroit region, even by about 7:30 tonight. Cadillac making it towards Jackson and Farmington Hills, as well as Sterling Heights. Those of you in Muskegon, Holland, Grand Rapids, you are no longer underneath the heart of the threat of this storm, but we do continue on with some active warnings.
Let's go to northeast Ionia County right now.
Yep, we're going to switch over here to northeast Ionia County. Meteorologist Blake Hansen has spotted some rotation within the storm there. Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly just take a look up here in northeast Ionia County. There is a little bit of a notch right in here. And guys, if we take a look at, again, this is switching over to our debris signature here on radar. We can see that we are looking at potentially some debris being lofted up in our atmosphere. This could be a spin-up tornado that's occurring. This is a loop over the last 5 minutes, and you can see within the last few frames here that it does appear that we have a little bit of debris that is being lofted up into the northeast parts of Ionia County to the north of the Lyons area. This is our last frame here on radar. This is just in the North Plains Township area of Ionia County. I'm going to head back to regular radar right now. Let's get a better look on radar. So what we are looking at here, and this is going to be heading a little bit eastward of Ionia County within the next few minutes. These storms are moving at a rapid pace, but there it is. You can see a little bit of a notch right there, and that's indicating that we're likely seeing a tornado possibly on the ground. This is still radar indicated by the National Weather Service, but now this is a new tornado warning that's in effect for the far eastern half of Montcalm and Ionia County, and then extending eastward a little bit outside of the 13 on your side viewing area in parts of Clinton and Gratiot County. Again, this is what we're keeping an eye on right here. This is just to the south of North Plains Township. I'm going to get back onto velocity right here. It doesn't look like much on velocity right here, but what's concerning is that when we switch over to our debris potential, notice that this kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, this signature right here. And that's indicating that this is not just rain or hail reaching the ground. What this product does for us on radar is helps us indicate if there is tree debris being lofted into the atmosphere. We're talking maybe parts of shingles or any other material that's not weather related being lofted up into our atmosphere. So we're still seeing that little signature there in the far northeastern half of Ionia County, a little bit to the north and east of Lyons, and again into the North Plains Township area. If you are in that general area, it is time to get inside. It is time to get to the most interior part of your home or whatever building that you may be in right now and take shelter and ride out this tornado warning that is in effect right now, again, for the eastern half of Ionia into Montcalm County. And you can see this extends a little bit farther to the north as well. I want to go back to our tornado warning. As we let this load here. Again, that is for parts of Ionia, Montcalm, Clinton, and Gratiot County. So again, starting to extend a little bit eastward of the 13 on your side viewing area, but this tornado warning is in place until 7:15 in the evening. So about 45 minutes, this tornado warning is ongoing. And if you are on the eastern half of Ionia in Montcalm County, the storm is overhead. It is time to be in your safe space in your home as this tornado warning is still ongoing. We still also have the separate tornado warning that is ongoing for Montcalm County to the north of the Greenville area, heading into parts of, really, if you're in the Edmore area, Vestaburg, for example, it is time to get to that safe space in your house. Whatever building you may be in right now, that is the time to take shelter with this tornado warning still ongoing for parts of Montcalm County. This warning is supposed to expire within the next few minutes. We will see what the National Weather Service decides on here for parts of Montcalm County with this tornado warning that is still ongoing. I just want to take a quick look at velocity up here. Not really sensing too much, Colton, in the way of any specific rotation, but with the ongoing situation with this line of thunderstorms with straight line winds, of course, we can see a quick spin up, and that's what we have been seeing within the last 30 minutes or so with some of these storms as they've pushed through West Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just been, in general, really strong wind gusts. There's actually a wind gust report in Jackson of 96 miles per hour, which is incredibly strong, super destructive.
And I also just want to highlight for those that are watching us here, if you are back towards the greater Grand Rapids area, we're going to go in the 6 o'clock show? All right, sounds good. We'll be right back, everyone.
This has been a 13 Weather Impact Alert. This is a 13 Weather Impact Alert.
Yeah, starting with weather tonight, we're just about to go right back. We are still under that weather impact alert with severe storms rolling in this evening, and we're going to get right back to meteorologist Colton Woods. Colton, what are we expecting? What are we seeing right now?
Yeah, Micah, there's definitely a very strong couplet or rotation in the northern portion, northeast portion of our viewing area right now. There is an active tornado warning. It is radar indicated for Clinton, Gratiot, Ionia, and Montcalm counties. We're actually going to send it over to Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks, who's on the green screen wall, to explain a little bit further in detail.
We can stay on Max 1. You guys, what we've been experiencing throughout the day today are multiple tornado warnings. We have had a line of severe and damaging storms that have been working their way to the north and east, and we are still actively underneath a tornado warning. So if you are just now joining us, this is for portions of Clinton, Gratiot, Ionia, and Montcalm counties. The main band of this storm is working its way to the north and east. It's going to make its way to that main expressway. We've got US 127, I believe. that expressway boundary is. The main line and the strongest line of storms is currently exiting Ionia County as well as exiting Mount Calm County and making its way into the Gratiot as well as Clinton County region, which is just outside of the 13 on your side viewing area. These storms themselves, though, have been associated with a strong and powerful line of winds for quite a while now. I'll go ahead and throw a track on the system itself. These strong line of winds have been producing wind gusts up to 90+ miles per hour. That has been our latest report in Jackson County, was a 90+ mile-per-hour wind. So not only are we watching for strong winds and the potential for tornadic activity, but also heavy bursts of rain associated inside of these storms and frequent thunder and lightning. Okay, let's go ahead and throw a track on these storms. They are expansive across the lower peninsula, making their way from Cadillac all the way down through Jackson. They're going to continue to track to the north and east from there, making their way towards Howell, Flint, Detroit, Bay City, Marysville, Port Huron, and Oscoda throughout the next several hours. What I do want to point out to you, for all of you at home that may be questioning whether or not you are out of the main most dangerous portions of this storm, if you are in Muskegon, Holland, South Haven, Saugatuck, stretching through Kent County, Wayland, Hastings, Ada, some of the areas that received that tornado warning, Cascade, the main band of storms is now well to the east of you. You are still underneath consistent rainfall, but you are no longer underneath the damaging line of winds that continues to have us slightly concerned. Let's see what active severe thunderstorm warnings we still have in effect. We do still have severe thunderstorm warnings right now for portions of Mount Calm, Ionia, as well as Newaygo County. Those are going to continue to make their way into Mecosta County as well. Those of you in Big Rapids, you are underneath a severe thunderstorm warning currently. It's making its way towards Chippewa Lake, Barryton, Rodney, Canadian Lakes, and Remus. This line of storms has had located within it and embedded within it areas of rotation. As of right now, you are not under a tornado warning, but this has previously been a tornado warned storm. So what we ask you to do is seek shelter from the storm itself. Now, with these strong band of storms, we also are seeing strong damaging winds continuing to make their way through the Montcalm County region. So again, please make sure that you are seeking shelter from the storm. The winds right now are 70 miles per hour. That can do just as much damage as tornadic activity. And let's go ahead and move on down here to portions of Montcalm County. This right now is underneath what we call a severe thunderstorm warning with a destructive tag. So when we have a destructive tag embedded within a severe thunderstorm warning, that means that we are indicating and seeing signs of 80+ mile per hour winds. So at this time, eastern portions of Montcalm County, we do ask that you continue to seek shelter from the storm as it clears your area. There has been a new tornado warning issued. This is making its way through the Carson City region right now. That includes Clinton, Gratiot, Ionia, and Montcalm County. I'm going to go ahead and pause our radar here, switch on over to sweeping radar. Looks like the strongest area of precipitation right now is Carson City. This is the M57 is your crossroad. We will switch over to velocity at this time. Velocity is a look at the inside of the storm. So we look at velocity when we are trying to find areas of rotation itself. I can clearly see that we have some very strong winds embedded within the storm, potentially a small area of rotation towards Maple Rapids region. Potentially a small area of rotation just to the east of Ferris Township, to the north of that as well, towards Vestaburg. These storms are tracking to the north and east. Regardless of if you're in those areas of rotation, you should also be prepared for strong damaging winds. We ask at this time with that tornado warning that if you are located in those areas, that you do go ahead and seek shelter from the storm. We're going to reset the map here. So that is going to be the eastern edge of Montcalm County, making your way into Gratiot County, as well as Clinton County. Pause the storm itself. We're going to switch over to the debris within the storm. When we look, okay, we are seeing some signatures of debris. The reason that we look at these areas of debris, this is making its way towards Alma, Forest Hill, and the Ithaca area in Gratiot, as well as Clinton County. Anytime we see some of these brighter signatures pop up, that could be the potential or the sign of a little bit of debris being lofted. Let's switch back over to velocity where we are seeing some of that debris. And that again is that little area of rotation being indicated on the velocity map right now. This is exiting for the most part our viewing area, but it is still clipping eastern portions of Montcalm County. If you know anybody located in the Forest Hill, Alma, St. Louis, Ithaca area, please let them know that they should be seeking shelter from this storm immediately. Shelter locations include things such as your basement, interior rooms, anywhere that doesn't have a window are going to be the areas that we want to see. Looping back in time here, this has been a powerful line of storms itself that started several hours ago. It made their way through the Chicagoland region and crossed Lake Michigan, first impacting our lakeshore counties and now clearing out of portions of West Michigan. But we do still have multiple areas of severe thunderstorm warnings. Those severe thunderstorm warnings are active for portions right now of Newaygo County, Montcalm County, Mecosta County, Ionia County. An active look at our current radar showing those storms clearing and headed into the Jackson region. I will go ahead and pass things over to Micah Cho. Micah is going to bring us some of our damage reports that we've had over the last several hours and just the latest information as these storms exit our area. Micah?
No, absolutely. We have, again, just kind of going back to maybe 10, 15 minutes ago from the scanners, we had a possible tree onto a car at 500 Pineland Drive. That is an ADA. Again, that's 500 Pineland Drive. We're also hearing that there may be multiple power lines down in that area as well. And then we have power lines down kind of in that Ridgebrook Avenue area in Kentwood. We believe it's the 500 block of Ridgebrook Avenue. And as we said in the past, Consumers Energy does recommend that you do not go near any of those down power lines. And speaking of Consumers Energy, these linemen have had a busy weekend on top of storm preparations right here in West Michigan, and even in northern Michigan. Crews have been working to get the power back on up there. Over the weekend, a strong band of ice storms actually coated areas and power lines and roads in areas like Gaylord, Petoskey, and Alpena. The amount of ice ranged anywhere from just below a ½ inch to over an inch. And some of those crew members up north right now actually will be making their way down to West Michigan and Southwest Michigan. Consumers Energy spokesperson Brian Wheeler told us earlier this afternoon the men and women who are working in the field are prepared to work long hours to keep operations up and running.
The typical line worker, electric line worker, can work for 16 hours at a time. So it's a full day, 2 shifts back to back, get 8 hours of rest, and then wake up in the morning and then do it all over again. That really allows us to have a 24-hour response so that you're going to see crews working not just here in the afternoon, but through the evening, overnight, even while it's dark.
And speaking of, again, Consumers Energy, we are monitoring the outage map, and we apologize we cannot bring it up on the screen right now, as Chief Meteorologist Sam Jacks mentioned earlier that a couple power surges here at the station have kind of bugged some of our systems, so we're currently working through that right now. But I do have the Consumers Energy power map, or power outage map, in front of me. It looks like we're monitoring a lot of outages kind of in the Casanova area. About 1,200 customers are out there. As you that's kind of more north of Grand Rapids, you know, that Cedar Springs, Ravenna, a little bit of Muskegon. When you kind of get down into the core of Grand Rapids, we're not seeing too many outages there. We do have a few clusters. Looks like there might be 1,000 customers out on the northwest side of Grand Rapids. Kind of taking a look down closer into the south region of Kent County and that north region of Barry County. Kind of on the west side of Caledonia, it looks like we have quite a few the east side of Caledonia, east of that Thornapple River. Looks like we have a couple hundred customers out over there. Freeport looks like you guys might be having some power outages as well as Hastings, that Cutlerville area and Byron Center area as well. A lot of power outages also out in Barry County. Kind of also taking a look here, it looks like we have maybe a few thousand customers out in Kalamazoo. The power outage map is covered in purple, red, and yellow all over in that Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, even south of Lansing, all the way into the southern part of the state. So I don't know, Sam, do you guys have anything you want to track right now?
Yeah, do we have our reporter ready on the scene yet or not quite yet?
Yes, I believe I'm going to talk to the booth real quick. Do we have Alexis?
Okay,
Yep,
they'll be ready in about 30 seconds. Let me go ahead and walk back on over to the island here because my graphics dropped out on me, but we can walk over. Right now we do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings left, but the heart of this system is clearing our area. So right now we have a lot of rainfall left. Let's check the lightning map. We are still seeing multiple areas of thunder and lightning. And if we look at our consumers outage map, I think that we are going to be able to pull this up. You can see scattered power outages across much of West Michigan right now, not just including one side of the storm or another. This stretches from the lake shore's edge and making its way all the way now to the Lansing region, as the storm has been known to be associated with anything from 65 to even 95-mile-per-hour wind gusts embedded within the storm. We are going to go ahead, Micah, I think, and send it back over to our live report.
Yeah, we do have Alexis Dumergine kind of in the Kalamazoo area. Let's bring her up now. Alexis, what can you tell us?
All right. Hi, Micah. How are you doing? So I want you guys to check out over here. We were just over here where these trucks are, these consumer energy trucks are, and they're prepping and loading for the storm. And not even 30 minutes later, the marathon down the road has taken a tumble. The canopy, the winds were going so fast, about 80 miles per hour, as our meteorologists have just said, and it knocked the entire canopy off the ground. So as you can see, it's caution off a bit, but it's completely out of its roots. The entire thing blocking the entrance to the gas station. And that was not even 30 minutes ago. As we were at the hotel, there were winds coming 80 miles per hour, super quick, with lots of heavy rain. I'm talking very, very heavy rain, to the point where people were running in and being almost blown away. But we will continue to cover this as it develops. Back to you guys in the studio.
Wow, yeah, thank you so much, Alexis. It's really, really amazing to see, you know, the power of these storms, especially tipping that canopy over. And in just a second, we are about to go back to meteorologist Colton Woods, who has a look at what we can expect later on through this evening.
Yeah, guys, if we take a quick look at radar right now, you can see most of the lightning and thunder with this is moving out of West Michigan. You can still see near Alma, they're getting quite a bit of lightning and thunder. Same story in Big Rapids. Thankfully, the severe threat is over south of this line and west of this line as well. So if you live in Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Howland, Kalamazoo, or Jackson, Battle Creek, the severe threat is beginning to come to an end. Also, if you live off to the north in Ludington, these storms are beginning to move to the east and out of our neck of the woods, but there are still some warnings in the region, so we do want to keep a note if you do live near Alma and other places off to the east. We do still have some severe thunderstorm warnings currently ongoing across the region. Though if we take a quick look at these tornado warnings, you can see there's still a tornado warning in effect. If I quickly step off, Clinton and Gratiot counties, that continues until 7:15. just south of Alma, we do have some weak rotation reported with those storms as they continue to move out of our viewing area, but still bringing strong damaging wind gusts as well, just to the east of Lansing, also toward the Flint region. But once again, if you live in Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Holland, the severe threat is coming to an end across the region. The 13 weather ball is green. We have no change foreseen to our temperatures, at least through this evening, but it will cool down substantially during the overnight hours tonight. Severe weather threat is basically coming to an end. It will largely be done by 8 p.m. The severe thunderstorm watch expires for everybody by 9 p.m. So the severe threat, thankfully, is starting to wrap up across West Michigan. Colder air will eventually move in later tonight with some snow as well. We're not expecting snow accumulation, but some snow is likely during the overnight hours, especially in our northern communities north of I-96. And then widespread 40s will be likely by the time we get to Monday in the low 40s, so substantially cooler tomorrow than it currently is across the region. We're cooling down slightly across West Michigan. We're already at 56 here in Grand Rapids, 52 in Muskegon, with the thunderstorms beginning to exit the region. A lot warmer off to the east, though, as that severe threat is still ongoing for places further off to the east. A little bit cooler, though, as you head to the west, and a lot cooler on the other side of Lake Michigan. That air mass will eventually spill its way in here across the region as we get cooler air wrapping behind this cold front. It is breezy outside of the thunderstorms. The thunderstorms brought wind gusts upwards of 96 miles per hour in Jackson, the highest wind report so far that we've gotten here at 13 on your side. But besides the thunderstorms, it's fairly breezy as well. Sustained winds right now at 22 miles per hour in Grand Rapids, gusting upwards of 33 as these storms continue to move out of the region. And then here's that cold front. You can see the wind switching more to the north. That will usher in that cooler air that we are expecting later on tonight. Temperatures generally in the 50s though this evening. The thunderstorms beginning to end as well. By 8 p.m. will likely stay dry here in Grand Rapids and much of West Michigan as the rain showers continue to move out of the area. But we will be cooling down rapidly overnight tonight, which means temperatures will be cooling down and the chance of snow will return as well. Here's a setup that we're currently seeing. The cold front beginning to advance closer to us here in West Michigan. Warm front well to the north of us, bringing that risk of severe weather still further off to our east. But the worst of the conditions now moving to the eastern side of the state, such as Alma, just to the east of Lansing as well. But everyone in West Michigan, so Muskegon, Grand Rapids, and Holland and Kalamazoo, the severe threat is done for the rest of the evening, thankfully, as drier weather will eventually return in the next 30 minutes or so. Timing this out hour by hour, like I said, all those storms will be moving out of the area by 8 p.m. All the storms on the other side of Michigan, such as Flint, Detroit, and Pontiac, they will be dealing with severe weather through at least 9 p.m. or so over on the east side of the state. But here in West Michigan, our severe threat is coming to an end, thankfully. Cooler air wraps behind the system. By the time we get to tomorrow morning, temperatures already below freezing, and also we'll have some snow showers falling around 4 a.m. That quickly moves out of here, and tomorrow, though, will be a nicer day with some sunshine breaking out during the afternoon, although it will be cooler, likely temperatures only in the low 40s. And we'll start the day on Tuesday at least with some sunshine before more storms will be likely on Wednesday. Yet again, another severe risk, unfortunately, is possible for Wednesday afternoon and also Wednesday evening. But over the next 24 hours, temperatures cooling down rapidly in the 40s this evening. Will only be in the low 30s waking up tomorrow morning, but we do have that chance of wintry mix during the overnight hours tonight, but no snow accumulation is expected. And then tomorrow afternoon, temperatures only warming up into the low 40s with a mix of sun and clouds developing during the afternoon hours. But for tonight, expect temperatures generally cooling down into the 30s along the lakeshore, likely 34 degrees in Holland, 31 in Hart. These are morning daytime temperatures as you wake up. Temperatures in the upper 20s off to the north as well, around 32 degrees in Fremont and Greenville. So we will be cooling down tonight, introducing that wintry mix as well. But in the meantime, we do have that severe risk to the east of us. But here in West Michigan, most of it is done. Your 13 on your side, 7-day forecast. Just so we have a dry Monday and Tuesday in store. A lot cooler though. We were in the 60s to 70s today. We'll only be in the low 40s for your Monday and Tuesday. But unfortunately, we do have another severe threat on the way for Wednesday. We may start the day with a wintry mix. Then a warm front will move through during the afternoon hours on Wednesday, sending us with some storms, possibly some strong to severe storms once again for Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening as we quickly warm to 65 degrees. But thankfully, we'll quiet down Thursday and Friday back down into the 50s.
And as severe thunderstorms are now winding down, and if you felt like you weren't prepared for this round of storms. There are a few things you can do and keep in mind to make sure you're staying safe as we roll into the spring and the summer months as these storms kind of ramp up again. The National Weather Service says that the best defense during a thunderstorm is to stay inside a sturdy building or shelter. Once in a shelter, stay away from windows and avoid electrical equipment and plumbing. You should also postpone any outdoor activities until the storm has passed and stay away from bodies of water. And for the latest updates on severe weather, stay with us on air and online, 13onyourside.com. You can also get updates on our streaming app, 13 Plus. The app is free to download on Amazon, Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.
All right, thanks so much for that, Micah. For those of you who have maybe been with us for the last several hours, or maybe you're just joining us, one thing that we would like to address with all of you is that we have had multiple power surges throughout the day and throughout the afternoon and evening hours here at 13 on Your Side. And that is probably the same reason that you are having debris in your yard or power outages at your home. And that is because we had this powerful line of storms that have moved throughout the area. One thing that I do want to make sure that you're aware of is that the threat of severe thunderstorm warnings for West Michigan is now over with. We have seen this powerful line of damaging strong winds work through the area since as early as 4:45. That's what you're looking at our radar right now. Look at all of that thunder and lightning embedded within the storms themselves. As they continued to track off to the east, they brought things such as 95 miles per hour wind gusts. That was a report that came out of Jackson, Michigan, so not necessarily West Michigan, but we are seeing pictures and photos of trampolines in people's backyards to roofs blown off of buildings. We had that live report of the gas station that was ripped off the ground. This storm officially cleared our area right around 6:35 this evening, and you can see its active track right now making its way towards the I-75 corridor, Flint, as well as Saginaw, and then into the Metro Detroit and Port Huron region. If you have family and friends in those areas, I sure do, I want you to let them know, hey, this is a line of storms that you should be taking really seriously, and you should be heeding the warnings of the system as they continue to track their way off to the east. Let's take a couple live looks across West Michigan itself and some of the current statuses of what we're experiencing. We have a temperature of 56 degrees right now at the Grand Rapids Airport. You can see that little bit of eeriness left in the sky. It's also been a very muggy day here in West Michigan, kind of air you can wear. We haven't had to say that in quite some time. You can see our Muskegon Tower camera still featuring a little bit of rainfall on the map itself. I'm going to quickly refer to meteorologist Blake Hansen as well as meteorologist Colton Woods and see if we have any photos in the iDrive that we could potentially update some of those graphics with. That way we can give kind of people a broader scope of some of the damage that did occur here in West Michigan. So that is a little bit of the general idea of where we're currently standing at in terms of these storms. They have cleared West Michigan. They're making their way towards the Metro Detroit area right now, Micah.
And Sam, as we head into that evening, what should people be kind of aware of? This is done, right?
Yeah, for the most part, this is done. So now is the time that we ask all of you at home, you can safely step outside, presumably, as long as it's not still thunder and lightning outside, and you can see what damage is left behind. You can see the damage left behind here at 13 on Your Side, right? We've got the black screen behind us because of the power surges that we experienced throughout the last several hours. Thankfully, we have a really awesome engineer crew that has been working really hard behind the scenes to try to get some of those things fixed, but we do know that those of you at home probably experiencing very similar things. One thing that you can do is you can text the number 616-559-1310. That phone number, Micah, you know, you check it
Yep,
frequently.
yep.
I check it frequently. It's our Haymarket text system. And what we use it for is it's a direct line of communication to us here at the station with any damage reports. What
You
are some
see
of
that,
the,
I see that.
yes. What are some of the things you've seen today from viewers?
Yeah, so we are going to be working to get some of these photos on tonight, later tonight at 11 o'clock. But we did see that there is some pool damage. You know,
Okay.
the sidings to the pools. A lot of that has been torn off on this one neighbor's pool down in Hamilton.
Okay.
And so we are also trying. We're also waiting to see some of those photos of down power lines. My question for you is, when people, want to send us damage or pictures of damage, what should they kind of be aware of to make sure they're doing this safely?
Absolutely. We want to make sure that power lines, just because they're down, does not necessarily mean that they're not active. So you need to be extraordinarily cautious when walking in areas. This is a report right now from, I can't quite see on the screen.
I believe
This
that's
is
Beach.
Cloverville, a Beach Elementary School, and you can see actually a portion of the roof blown off of that elementary school. So damage that's going to continue to exist in that area for quite some time. But back to your question, Micah, other things that we can see on the ground from damage like this beyond power lines being there, glass. So you need to be really careful making sure that you're wearing the proper footwear. A lot of standing mucky water that might not necessarily be clean water from these storms, debris scattered across the region. So there's a lot of different things that we look at. Another indicator whether or not it was tornadic activity or straight line winds that we watch when we go out into the field is the direction in which the debris has fallen. If you were underneath the tornado, you likely have debris that's scattered everywhere. If it was the straight line winds, the trees have probably just fallen straight over, but I know that we have another live look at some of the damage that we've seen.
Yes, and it will coming up tonight at 11, and we want to thank you guys so much for staying with us tonight.
Yes. Stay safe, everybody.
That was...
This has been a 13 Weather Impact Alert.